attention. I don't think she'll notice me no more. She parties all the time, sipping the finest wines and such. I don't think she'll remember me no more. So I'll be waiting all day, all night. I'll be waiting for her all the time, through the pouring rain or the sunshine. I'll be waiting for her all the time. Ooh, na 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 na. When I'm with you all day, all night, I'll be waiting for her all the time. Since she moved on and she found him, I've been aching, my heart is rusted. So I'm on my own shit. Been the same dog barking up the same tree. I need her out of my life, I need her out of my head. Painting a picture that I'm better off dead. I hope he's treating her wrong, but hope she's been treated right. I love and I hate her at the same time. I'll be waiting, I'll be waiting all day, all night. I'll be waiting for her all the time, through the pouring rain or the sunshine. I'll be waiting for her all the time. Ooh, na 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 na. When I'm with you all day, all night, I'll be waiting for her all the time. Things that got the best of me, none worse than when you said it's over. My heart's forever broken, and that's why I'll be never sober. Every little thing that I said, I play it all back in my head. And every little thing that went wrong, I'd give it all to go back again. Every little thing that I said, I play it all back in my head. And every little thing that went wrong, I'd give it all to go back again. Hey! All day, all night, I'll be waiting for her all the time, through the pouring rain or the sunshine. I'll be waiting for her all the time. Ooh, na 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 na. When I'm with you all day, all night, I'll be waiting for her all the time. Things that got the best of me, none worse than when you said it's over. My heart's forever broken, and that's why I'll be waiting for her all the time. If I need her.
What's going on, everyone? How's everybody doing? It's October 1st, and it's exciting because it's Halloween time coming up soon, and we just watched an
That cricket's
absolute
going fuck,
undressing. Yeah, no, sorry, everyone. There is a cricket going absolutely batshit in my office right now, and I have no idea where it is. I tried searching for it. Every time I try searching for it, it just goes mute. So it's an asshole. But we're going to push through it because that's what we do. We appreciate everyone for jumping on here. As we always do, go follow us. If you are on X, go give us a follow, repost, all that good stuff. YouTube, give us a like, subscribe, send us some chats. We'll talk about them. And if you're watching on Facebook, give us a follow there and ask some questions because we're going to have some fun. So do my little preamble before we start talking about the debate. The one thing that they didn't mention, Dave, in the debate is the Epstein client list. It is something that I think that we need to talk more about. Our politicians, our people on the airwaves, everyone needs to demand the Epstein client list come out. And I will not stop talking about it at the beginning of every show until we have it. So we're going to do that. Next, my standing offer to bring Alex Jones on because he's being persecuted, and that offer will be there forever. So Alex Jones, you're always welcome to jump on. And then my added to, Dave, $1, right, for Moms for Liberty. Anybody watching right now, if you're a Trump supporter, if you are going to vote for Donald Trump, if you just take the time to give $1 to Moms for Liberty, then we can have them getting millions of dollars. And for those that don't know what Moms for Liberty does, go about 2.5 weeks back and watch our interview with Tina Deskovich, now almost 3 weeks. And you'll find out that they're an amazing organization that fights for our kids to get all woke bullshit and more terrible things, trans ideology, things like that, out of school. So they're an organization worth donating to. So I encourage that. And lastly, I just want to give a shout out. Tim Pool, Timcast, coming home They're trying to make the charts. Timcast with Phil Labonte, it's their new song coming home. They, go listen to it. It's actually not a bad song. They're kind of getting a style now, Dave, where they come in very smooth and easy, and then all at the end they kind of like come into some more rock. So they're getting a style. I encourage everyone to go support them because we need more people in the culture war winning and all that good stuff. So Dave, let's get over here. Let's talk about what everybody wants to talk about, Dave. The VP debate. So you watched all of it.
I watched the whole thing.
I watched the last like 45 minutes. Dave, I'm going to let you take the reins on this one while I go fight a cricket real quick.
Yeah, I was going to say mute yourself.
No, I'm not muting myself. You're going to give me a fight.
Okay. All right. So from start to finish, this was really just a shellacking by JD Vance. Honestly, Vance showed everyone that he was pretty much the correct pick for VP, at least when it comes to professionalism and getting the Trump rhetoric out to everyone in a way that Trump might not be able to, at least not to normies who are not used to Trump or who don't like him very much. So Vance throughout the whole debate was prepared, knew everything he wanted to say, knew exactly how to get back at Walz, and knew how to get Walz. Did you get it?
No.
Oh, there now. Man knew exactly how to get Walz to fall into every trap that Vance wanted him to get into. So, I mean, honestly, to me, Walz is not as bad as he could have been, but he wasn't good. He definitely wasn't good. He was pretty bad. And he kept agreeing with JD Vance. Almost after every time JD Vance had the start to a question, Walz would agree with him and then say something, which is a complete contradiction of everything the Harris-Walz campaign is about. The Harris-Walz campaign is, we are not Trump and Vance. They're evil. We're the new kind of politics. We're bringing joy. We're moving forward. But Walz apparently agrees with Vance on damn near everything that Vance wants to say. And
quickly, just one of the things we went over yesterday or 2 days ago, because we weren't on yesterday, that CNN had an article saying that, Walz is nervous because he told Kamala Harris that he's not a very good debater.
Yes.
So they were already preparing for Walz to get destroyed. And I think it's because they knew that JD Vance was already put together. They've seen him on interviews, and he goes on CNN and MSNBC all the time. And there are so many viral clips of him just undressing those people with his knowledge, and he comes prepared, and he is ready for all of the.
And it shows the experience that they've just built on the campaign trail between the both of them, because Harris and Walz have been hiding from interviews. They haven't really done anything interview-wise. They haven't had any kind of opposition when it comes to speaking one-on-one or in any type of way. While Vance has been out there. Vance has been out there more than Trump. Vance has been everywhere, speaking to everyone as much as possible. So he's been polishing all of his speaking skills, everything oration-wise that he could do in order to prepare for this debate. And it showed. It just completely showed. He glowed in every single way he could.
And going back more than that, Vance has been doing this since he's been in the Senate. He has been constantly on CNN, a bunch on Fox News. So he has been very good in terms of getting there. And listen, people need to remember, JD Vance was a never Trumper at the start of this. Back in 2015, JD Vance was a never Trumper.
Yes.
And he was not in on Trump. And he has
missed that. They asked him about that. Yes. And he did a good job explaining his positioning and why he changed from how he did and all of that during the debate. He really knocked basically every question out of the park and every retort out of the park. Walz really didn't have much to go off of. And I mean, I think the best one, well, I'd have to look back because he had a bunch of really good answers.
And tomorrow we'll definitely get a bunch of clips that we can play over here because.
But I think the best answer was his answer to their January 6th question. You knew it was going to come up, but he said, look, because he played their game. I'm looking towards the future. I'm looking towards getting everything that's wrong with this country right. And then he said, but also, you guys complain about every single election, so I don't want to fucking hear it. In an obviously nicer term, in a debate term. But
he brought up Hillary denying it and things like that. And I think he did miss a chance to be like, Hillary was on last week denying it too, because like she did. Last week she went on the show and denied it again. So let's get to some of our comments here. My boy Dougie Manzo, Union brother. Trump picked Vance on one standard only, as IQ. It's off the charts. And yeah, Manzo, we saw that. We saw that Manzo that he was prepared, and he sounds very like people were sitting there, and I saw so many comments on social media like, why isn't these our two candidates? And it kind of goes to show that like you don't need to be smart in order to sound smart. Like Waltz didn't sound like a complete idiot. He had some bad answers, but he didn't.
He did say his friends are school shooters.
He did say his friends are school shooters. But he misspoke a few times, which you're going to get. But Waltz sounded more polished than a lot of the recent politicians that we've had in terms, and the civility helped make this. Now, I will say one of the things that has plagued the debates with the presidential debates is that they have done the smorgasbord style, which is typically only reserved for the VP debates because you only get one of these. So we haven't been able to hear, but it was good. And Nate G, our boy Nate here, coming and giving the real serious comments.
Yes.
Waltz missed a real opportunity to talk about the importance of tampon breaks during football practice. I know back when I played, we really could have benefited from that. And you know what? I think that's something that they need to be stumping about, Nate. That is something they need to get on. So, Dave, what are some more of your highlights? Like, do you have any more highlights from the debate that you thought that, either Waltz did well or Vance did well?
So, Waltz tried to bring up the Springfield stuff. He tried to bring up that what Trump said about Springfield, Ohio, is actually hurting the immigrants there because of what he said. And I think Vance did a very good job of redirecting that and saying, look, a whole bunch of immigrants, millions of immigrants are being put into small towns and displacing Americans. And he brought it to a real point. He brought it to something that everyone can empathize with, where it's just like, look, we have a town of only so many people. And then you drop basically half the population of immigrants into that town, which is just going to destroy, it's just going to make everything worse, but for everyone there. So, and that's what Vance consistently did. He made it. Harris always wants to say, I come from a middle-class family. He actually sounded like he did. He actually sounded like he understood what the plight was of Americans with almost every answer that he gave.
And that's the thing too, is the difference is between these two sides. Kamala Harris sounds fake. She doesn't sound like a real person. Tim Walz, at least, I'll give him some credit. He sounded just like a guy. To his negative, he sounded just like a guy that didn't belong there most of the time. Like he sounded like if it was me or you jumping onto a debate stage in front of millions. But what Vance did and what Trump is able to do is they sound like that local person that maybe might be a CEO locally, but they're still local. They don't own a multi-million-dollar conglomerate. They own that business down the road that employs 20, 30 people from town. Still important, still millionaires, but they're still local. You know what I mean? Vance didn't sound above anybody. He gave, he sounded like a politician. And don't get me wrong, he danced around some things, right? But when he danced around it to a point and to a purpose. It's not like he danced around it and then kind of like word salad, joy, hope, happiness. Like, no, he danced around it. And when he was shifting topics, he shifted to a topic that he knew it was going to be an attack vector, which is something that, old school politicians used to do. And, I think that it's a credit to Vance that he was able to tap into kind of that old school political style of you control and you shift into the debate. Yeah, I was looking at things too, Dave. You have a video?
I want to run through some memes. I guess.
Yeah, go for it. Get some memes up. Go ahead.
We have the first one, Tim, coming in. New meme format just dropped. And even if it's not a meme format, it's still pretty good. Vance kept giving this office look to the camera.
When he was looking like this guy's fucking full of shit.
Yes. Yes, and it was pretty great. So we have that from Tim. We have this from Kerry Smith. The Walz eyes are watching, which this was a bit terrifying throughout the whole debate.
And that reminds me, and I said it, Dave, who needs to do, I need to maybe make it, or someone go make it, someone that's good at memeing, get the George Carlin face next to that. Because that is the George Carlin, though, that George Carlin always used to do. That's the exact face that he used to do. And it's amazing.
We have a pretty spicy one here because Walz said he was friends with school shooters. This one's pretty fucking spicy, but I thought it was good enough.
Oh my God.
Donald Trump himself got in on the meme game. He said Trump Vance 24, not friends with school shooters.
Which needs to be spread around. Listen, I'm looking at it right now. We speak, I am going to retweet. He needs to put it from his Twitter, though, because he only has it on Truth. We need to get that on his X as well.
And also, right to bear meme, school shooters for Harris. Very good one.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, there's gaffes and there's things going on, but it's I don't know.
It was not a good showing from Walz. It was not good enough. He like VP debates shouldn't matter, and in all actuality, this one might not matter at all. But you have presidential candidates who not everyone loves, so they might be paying more attention to VP debates. If the Democrats have a lot of people viewing this debate, they're not going to be fucking happy. The best case scenario for the Democrats is for low viewership on this VP debate and low and no virality from these clips that come out on Twitter or whatever else from this debate. Because if this reaches a lot of people, I think it will actually affect the election, which is surprising. But I think it was bad enough from Walz and good enough from Vance that it might have pushed the market more towards Trump.
I think Vance strategically knew the opportunities to create a meme, and I think he used them. Like you said, that face that he did constantly is going to become a meme because it was the "is this guy serious?" face.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of the "you guys actually falling for this?" Like yeah. And one thing, so I'm just looking through X right now. Joy Reid's already on her Joy Reid, and she put this on the readout. These people are fucking stupid. On the VP debate, most people are going to relate with the coach a lot more than they're going to relate with the Yali, which because JD went to Yale. Now, mind you, this bitch went to Harvard. So it's not like she's sitting there like making fun, like she's just like this local girl, like that went to whatever college, and she's an Ivy Leaguer going on Ivy Leaguer. So it's kind of like, it's nothing that comes out of Joy Reid's mouth is very effective.
I mean, she could say that, but this man also got famous for writing Hillbilly Elegy. I mean, you're not exactly going to tell me this guy's a silver spoon type of person when that's what he came out with.
Yeah. I mean, he did well. JD Vance did well. JD Vance progressed. And I thought where it was Tim Walz's job to just survive, which he did. He did. He survived. He didn't. He's kind of limping. He limped. He survived enough.
Some of those mess ups might be pretty bad.
I mean, the school shooter one.
That they could, and when they asked him about Tiananmen Square, and he couldn't just admit that he lied. He went all about. He's like, oh, I went to China multiple times, or a whole number of reasons he brought up why he's been back and forth to fucking China. And he was like, oh, maybe Donald Trump should go to China so he can understand governance and all those types of things. But he just never answered why he lied about being at Tiananmen Square.
More than what Tim sent, this is going to be the exact meme.
Yes.
Right there.
Yes.
Right there of just JD Vance. And honestly, in the future, whenever he runs in 2028, this should be like his, instead of Vance, whatever, 2028, he should just put that on the fucking signs.
Oh, no.
What are you all knowing?
Oh, no.
What are you all knowing? What happened?
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no. Silent meme majority. Oh, no. Oh,
this is going to go everywhere. And you know what's going to be funny?
Oh, no.
Rachel Maddow did it, and this is going to be the talking point. Rachel Maddow just said that JD Vance did a good job. He was very polished, and he had substantial answers. But Tim Walz beat him on all the substantive policy.
Yeah, because they can't actually say anything.
They can't admit. That was as close to Rachel Maddow admitting that Tim Walz took an ass beating.
Yes. Yes, 100%.
You're not going to get any closer than that. CNN admitted that Vance won the debate.
Yes.
Which is, CNN has been, as much as they are still heavy leaning left, they have been, their actual commentary on certain things, like their stories and their opinions are left. But when things are happening like this, I will say the new leadership has done a much better job of being like, hey, you can editorialize what you do, but you got to try and be honest. Because they are trying to be honest when, and this is kind of old CNN, right? Old CNN, they would try their best to root for the Democrats, but when the right did something well, they would admit and just be like, yeah, they won that. Like they took this round.
Yeah.
And then they would try to coach how to win the next round.
Yeah. And I will also say this. The questioning was not good. There are some questions that actually matter to people, but they asked about climate change. They asked about January 6th. This shit doesn't matter to most people right now. A lot of other things matter to normal Americans who are actually voting for these people in the office. So the questioning wasn't good. The moderators were not very good. Overall, it was more of a normal debate that we're used to, than what we've seen
much more
in the past 8 years.
Yeah.
But it was just a shellacking by Vance. He did a great job. I believe we already talked about this on the show, but I expected Vance to do well.
Yes.
I didn't expect him to do this well.
So apparently Kyle Becker just put up Tim Walz just lost CNN. Wow. I want to listen to what CNN said, because this is actually, when we talk about what's going to be effective, it's not necessarily going to be the debate itself, but with the reaction from pundits. It's why Rachel Maddow's playing defense. It's why Joy Reid's playing defense. But CNN, which a lot of the leftists are mad at CNN because they're not just sucking at the tea right now. You hear leftists being like, oh, CNN's terrible too. Yeah. But for your boomers that have CNN their whole life and only go to CNN, this is effective. And this may be what actually hurts. So I have no idea what they're going to say. Let's hear what they're saying right now.
That. I mean, I think there was a clear lack of preparation and execution here on Walz's part.
I think actually it's the opposite. I think he had too much preparation.
Maybe, yeah.
He had so many lines that he was clearly trying to say that he didn't listen and said when J.D. Vance said one of the many things he really hit Kamala Harris on, not Tim Walz, but Kamala Harris, he didn't respond because he clearly had things in his mind. I think the lack of interviews that he has done with national media, with local media.
Then why aren't you calling him out?
Yeah, no, it's
insane. No, I'm sorry. Pause that. Because that's fucking insanity to say. That is absolute insanity to say. Because everyone knows who watches the show. I'm not a Democrat, whatever. But if you're going to actually try to make your side do well, why in the fuck would you allow them to completely run from interviews time and time again? You don't put any pressure on them for it. None at all when you could. And then when they go out and they do poorly, you then bring it up as an issue. You can't fucking bring it up as an issue anymore. You're one of the ones that are supposed to be getting them to do it. I can't, but you actually have some pull. You're at CNN. Do it. You're a journalist, a so-called fucking journalist, but you didn't do anything to help your guy even get prepared. So she's correct.
Yeah.
That's so fucking stupid to me. And I know I'm yelling, but
I don't blame you. You know, too much preparation. Where have I heard that cope? It is their go-to. It is their go-to when they do poorly. Maybe they were too prepared. No, and I think she gave away the goat though, because while she was saying he was too prepared, what she also said is he was listening. He was thinking of his one-liners that he was taught.
Yeah.
It was less of, she tried to couch it in. Well, he prepared so much, where it's nonsense. Because if you're actually prepared, you think on the fly. You're going through things, but you're going through legitimate rebuttals. You're not trying to process the one-liners that they gave you. Yeah. And that's where she gave away kind of like, that's exactly what she was saying. That he wasn't prepared where JD was prepared. You obviously could see JD Vance was prepared. He knew where they were going to attack him, and he knew how to go after it, right? Where the difference is with Kamala, with Tim Walz, Trump, there's no fucking preparing that guy. That guy goes off the cuff. But with Kamala and with Tim Walz, they were prepared for their one-liners.
Yeah,
they were trying to pick their spots because they were trying to get the viral moment. Where JD Vance just off of, he's very much pulled a Vivek in this way, where I think they're comparable people, where Vivek kind of blew you away with his knowledge on topics. And his viral moments would come from when he's just spitting out facts and people are researching them and they're going, fuck, he's dead on. That's a crazy fact. And I think Vance has a little bit of that, where his responses were so more than what we've been used to hearing. And I know people are saying like, this is more what we're used to in debates. No, in a way, yes, because it was more civil. But in terms of the knowledge and the actual substantive answers, it's a tough word. JD Vance was better than most. David, you froze for a second. Are you back yet? Oh, there you go. You're back. But JD Vance was better than most that we've seen on the presidential stage, because most of the time you get partial answers and then they move on and they start to talk about stump stuff. JD Vance was giving full answers and a good amount of policy that you can look forward to from Trump. And that's the other thing I think Tim Walz was missing. They were trying to ask him about policy. They were trying. They actually were giving him a ton of opportunities to opine on policy, and he just wasn't doing it. What do you got there, Dave?
Something that has nothing to do with what you're talking about.
That's fine. I'm useless.
I saw it. So now everyone else has to as well.
Oh boy.
That's all it is. That's all it is. It's all AI. It's fucking weird. It's weird, and I don't like it. But with how much what they're agreeing, I mean, that's almost kind of accurate.
And you know what? Here's the thing. And I like the way it looked because it also gave there's a little bit of hopefulness with this debate with your normies, your independents, your people who are so tired of the vitriolic division.
Yeah.
The fact that they were able to say, hey, I agree on you with this part, but this is where I separate from you and this is where we differ. I think that that's good. Because for me and you, as more politicos that we're used to this, we like this. We are cool with the vitriol because we parse through it and then we get to the substance ourselves because we know what we're listening to. But if you're a normie, Donald Trump turns you off in a lot of ways because he just makes fun of people. And then he looks like, when it's a bunch of guys, nobody gives a fuck when he's bullying a bunch of dudes. But, Hillary, some people were off put by it. Biden, he was an old man. People were off put by that. Kamala, she's a woman. People are off put by that, right? And Trump's a 6-foot+ guy, so that's intimidating. These two, it's seen as more of an even playing field here too. So I think that's what we got. What do you got there, Dave?
This is Tim Walz's full answer to the Tiananmen Square question.
Oh no.
It's 2 minutes 47 seconds, but I do think this is his worst moment.
Let's hear it.
And I think it's good to hear this because this is actually his worst moment in the debate. The school shooter thing is funny. It's a good meme, but this is his legitimate worst moment in the debate. It shows that he's a liar. It shows that he can't keep track of everything he's fucking said in his life. And it shows that he's an out and out politician. The fact that he literally lies about everything.
Go for it.
Governor Walz, you said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy?
Yeah, well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service. I joined the National Guard at 17, worked on family farms, and then I used the GI Bill to become a teacher, passionate about it, a young teacher. My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams, we would take dancers, and we would go back and forth to China. The issue for that was to try and learn. Now, look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. Look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to Congress for 12 years. And in Congress, I was one of the most bipartisan people, working on things like farm bills that we got done, working on veterans benefits. And then the people of Minnesota were able to elect me to governor twice. So look, my commitment has been from the beginning to make sure that I'm there for the people, to make sure that I get this right. I will say more than anything, many times I will talk a lot. I will get caught up in the rhetoric. But being there, the impact it made, the difference it made in my life, I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be praising Xi Jinping about COVID. And I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world. It's about trying to do the best you can for your community. And then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is. My commitment, whether it be through teaching, which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier, or was being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Wow.
Governor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, that was his answer. That was overall worst moment. At least I believe so. I don't know if people could probably make an argument for another one, but I think that's his worst moment. It's really fucking bad. That's a really bad look, especially when you have the moderators like them asking you a follow-up saying, yeah, you kind of just didn't say anything about not being at Tiananmen Square.
I mean, I think they thought they'd be better prepared for that question.
Yeah.
I think the moderators thought like that, that's one of those things where they were probably looking at it going, this is important. We have to ask it. This is historical. And I think they thought that this was going to be something similar to John Kerry. We know John Kerry draft dodged badly.
Yes. Yes.
All right, not even draft dodge. That he got, I misspoke there. I Tim Walz, but unlike Tim Walz, I'm going to back. He didn't draft dodge. He went over, and that he self-inflicted a wound in order to come home. Kerry had an answer for that, whether you liked it or not. He had a prepared answer. Tim Walz was obviously unprepared, or his campaign told him to dance around it because the moderators are your friends and they won't nail you to it. And then when they did, he was like, "Holy fuck, what do I do?" That's the only thing. So I want to bring this up. Our boy G Prime, George Alexopoulos, did this little sketch, and I think this summed up the debate perfectly. This is
yes, yeah.
There's nothing more to say.
Vance absolutely glowing. Walz just drowning, absolutely drowning up there.
It's not at that level, but honestly, it could end up being in that level of importance. This is Biden undressing Paul Ryan. This is JFK making Nixon sweat. And these things are important. Now, JFK Nixon's a presidential debate, the first televised one, so it was big. This could be more akin to definitely Biden in his prime, running with Obama for the first time, completely and totally undressing Paul Ryan, because that turned that whole entire election into an issue, because Paul Ryan was this young shining star, and everyone thought that Romney was a solid candidate coming in, and he chose Paul Ryan as the young star, and the Republicans were going to sit there and get boom boom. Romney coming in, do his 4 to 8. Ryan come in. We're seeing 16 years of Republican governance. That's where everyone thought we were getting with that. Biden comes in, and you could say what you want about Biden. He's not a great person. He wasn't a good politician in terms of his policy. But at one point, Joe Biden, and I said this all the time, he was a savvy politician.
At one point, he was lunch pail Joe.
He was good at being a politician, aka he was good at lying and making it sound believable. And when I tell you, I remember watching that debate, and I don't know if you watched it with us, but I was watching it with our father and our mother. You maybe weren't, but when I tell you, we were watching that, and we're all like, Romney's fucked. He's cooked. If even half of the group that watches presidential debates watches this, it's done. Because thing is, you can't necessarily win with a vice presidential debate, but you can lose, because if the people start to now have no confidence in your successor, if something were to happen to you, that's a thing that people think about. That
yes,
if something were to happen to you, is there confidence in your successor? And we don't like Mike Pence right now, but he was a very steady hand when Trump picked him. And everyone looked at it as, if something were to happen to Trump, Mike Pence is just going to govern steady. And right now, what we're seeing from JD Vance is not only that he would govern steady,
but he's pushing
be
the
very much
actual
more
MAGA policies.
Yes, he would. Which is, again, if you were a part of the DeSantis campaign, you are in fucking tears right now, because you're like, why couldn't Ron do this? Because I promise you right now, if Ron DeSantis does this, what JD Vance did at the beginning of his campaign, we are looking at Ron DeSantis probably as the candidate right now.
The issue is that Ron didn't have. We won't get into this too much because it's not exactly a big. But the issue is that Ron really didn't have this kind of 1v1 type of shit very much in his primary campaign. No. It was mainly just a primary campaign running, which the whole campaign wasn't very good, because look at what happened with Gavin Newsom. He fucking torched Gavin Newsom. So I think he very much has the ability to do it, and I think he would be able to do it 110%. It's just he didn't have many chances of doing that. So that was an issue.
And I also think he didn't do what Vance has done his whole career, and that's go on interview shows, do your minute to 3 to 5 minute snippets, and and what Trump has been doing, which is going on podcasts and showing that he could do long form, hour and change, different topics, current news, cultural. Vance has done the same thing. Vance has gone on, I think, Patrick Bet David and things like that. And if people can check me if he has or hasn't. But Vance has done this a lot, where I think it was a missed opportunity for Ron, even after X floundered, right? That intro.
Yes.
He could have done, instead of alienating groups, because he did, he alienated so many conservative commentary and a lot of the podcast. If he would have sat there after that and just been like, let's get on the Blaze, let's get on a Wire One, let's get on Timcast, let's get on PBD, let's get on here and let me go talk, I think it would have been a different campaign. But that's revisionist history. Hopefully DeSantis learned something, because for me,
a great governor of Florida. And for all intents and purposes, the man's a great governor of Florida.
Great governor. And for me, the ideal situation that we will see for 2028 is Vance, Vivek, and DeSantis going to war.
Yep.
And then even Tulsi and RFK throwing in their hats to give those different ideas. Because here's the thing, and I don't care what anybody says, you may disagree, RFK will run as a Republican in 2028, because one thing that people know about Republicans is they are saps and they are suckers for anyone that gives them any little inch. We've seen it. People were praising fucking Eric Adams. Okay. Eric Adams is a shithead. Yes. Nobody should like Eric Adams. He's not our ally in any way, shape, or form. So, but the people on the right are so thirsting to be accepted that they take anything. And RFK knows that he's not a dumb guy. RFK is still a radical leftist. Let's not be mistaken. He is still a radical leftist.
Tim was originally a DeSantis guy.
Tim was originally a DeSantis guy. And listen, Tim was originally a Bernie bro in 2015. And he still hasn't lost a lot of those tendencies. So Tim Pool is not on the right. Like, we need to be very clear about Tim Pool. People call him conservative because he has come into the Trump, and listen, the conservatives are the ones that will talk with him and go on a show more frequently too. So that also helps. But, you know, you look at that, you look at Tulsi. Tulsi's saying all the right things. Tulsi's not on the right. Tulsi's not our ally. Tulsi is a Democrat. So we need to be clear about these things. And we need to know who we should actually pick come 2028, because we also need to continue to look forward. We can't just look at this one. 2028 is going to happen quick.
Yep.
We need to figure it out now who we want for 2028.
Eric Adams had me at gun and pillowcase. It was pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie, that video did light me up on Eric Adams.
That video was fantastic. I'm not going to lie. If he does that, he should do one now.
Eric I mean, like, he just looks like a normal working guy in that video, a normal cop in that video. He's just doing his job, just trying to teach people how to do things. Yeah, it looks like a comedy, to be quite honest, with him pulling shit out. But like I said, he probably saw that in his experience. So maybe I think he's going off of experience. It's still funny. It's still great. But I did want to give a quick Sydney Sweeney pick because she did an ad for Dr. Squatch, and it's pretty great.
Hello, you dirty little boys. Are you interested in my body? Wash? Well, you can't have it because this isn't for boys. It's for men.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, quick Sydney Sweeney.
What I will say there,
I think that's useful.
They did an incredible job of giving her the fuck me eyes with the way they have the makeup going on. She typically doesn't have that because she doesn't want people to look at her eyes. She wants them to look at her boobs. But if her boobs weren't available, which was the case, eyes. What they should have done to be funny is like tease everyone and have her stand up and just have like the Squatch things over her.
She might. It's not the full commercial, and maybe it is a quick spot, and she just, she said men at the end, and it's not that long. But she might. I would think they would have included that, but I don't know. Either way, I thought it was a good break.
Hey, Sydney Sweeney's fantastic. All right, so Dave, last thoughts on the debate before we move on to next topic.
I mean, there's not much more to say. It was a great job for Vance, not a great job for Walz. He did survive, though, but I mean, it's not looking that way if you look at corporate media, so they're not very happy about it. Overall, if a lot of people watch this, I think it does swing for Trump if the viewership is high, because it is a VP debate, so it might not be. It might do absolutely nothing. Most VP debates don't do very much.
We'll find out tomorrow. The daily shows will have the numbers, and they'll talk about. And here's the thing: I think that it will move the needle.
It has a very good chance of doing it, especially, social media. It's going to go everywhere. Certain things are going to go everywhere. And Vance didn't give an answer that made him look like a boogeyman, at least, not to me. Obviously,
and this is the value
leftist brain can be switched anywhere, but
because the value of people being so political, this is going to get numbers because now everyone is political. So I think we're going to have people watching it, and it's going to be to root for their team, and that's obvious. But I think even the leftists are going to have to admit, even if they don't like an answer, they're going to have to admit that Vance looked good. They could say Walz looked great too. They're going to lie to themselves, but they're going to have to admit that whether or not they agree with what Vance says, they think Vance is a liar. He didn't sweat. He didn't dance as much as he probably thought he was going to, and he looked good.
Yep.
Nate, you're absolutely right. Should have been.
No, I disagree.
We are bigots.
I'm putting my foot down there.
I mean, listen, Nate, if you really want to go see McConty naked or semi-naked, you can go on smashjt.com, or you can even go on her own Twitter. She shows off her ass a bunch, and it's gross. I mean, there's nothing else to say about Alyssa Mercante, but yeah, she's nasty. But anyway, so we're gonna jump into our next topic. Anyone have any comments about debates? You just let us know, and we will we'll comment on it because that's what we do. But I want to talk about something that usually would lead in something like what we were doing here, but
would have led if we did the show before the debate.
Yeah, it would have led if we did the show before. But you know what? Today we planned on doing the debate anyway.
That's true.
So it wouldn't have led, but we are now looking at possibly, while we're talking about the debate, we are possibly looking at World War III. A lot of us believe it probably already started anyway, but this may be the legitimate start. Iran has launched missiles into Israel. Now, why is this big? It's not only big because it expands the region. I think they said it was over almost like 100. Let's see. They have number observed dozens of missiles piercing through the skies and sirens blast across. Only one person was killed. Several were injured during the attack, according to the Israeli military. I think it says like something like 160 projectiles overall came in. That's a huge amount. 180 projectiles at the country. And for them to get through with the Iron Dome, that's a lot that they had to launch because the Iron Dome is really good. Now, why is this important, Dave? This is important not because only it expands the war and not because Iran is the strongest military in that, region. And, Israel's going to have a tough time with Iran. That's just, they're fighting multi-front war. They fought multi-fronts before, but this is going to be difficult. What it does is this could actually bring in the rest of the world because Iran is a founding member of the BRICS group. And the BRICS group involves Russia. It involves China. It involves a lot of these countries, and specifically Russia and China are the big ones. Because Israel retaliating against Iran, and it's been one of the reasons why Iran has been so touchy with everybody, because of their new alliance with Russia and their new dependency on Russian, energy as well. They're doing energy exchanges. And China attacking Iran directly could also be, negotiated as attack on Russia and an attack on China because of their now economic alliance. It's a touch and go situation, Dave. And if they go in and Russia starts to say, "Hey, get the fuck out," or we're also coming after you, that changes the dynamic of everything. It changes geopolitically what America's going to do. It changes what the West is now going to do. It changes the theater in Ukraine. Because how important is Ukraine if Russia and or China are now saying, we're not letting you fuck with our economic ally. They're important to us. Get out or we're getting involved. So this is big, Dave. And I think that this is bigger than what we've seen going on right now. What are you thinking?
I think it's decently big, but I don't think that either Russia or China have any plans to be pulled into anything no matter what. Russia is actually still busy with Ukraine, which they shouldn't be. They are actually not doing well economically at all. Russia is doing fucking terribly. The one thing that Russia wants is this war with Ukraine to be done. But so they cannot bring themselves to anything else, no matter what Israel does. And similarly with China, China is building fucking ghost cities. Let's be honest with ourselves. It's not like China is doing incredibly. And also, China has its own goals with Taiwan. It's already waited a long time for Taiwan, and it would rather take the time to do anything with Taiwan before they really defend Iran. Because the thing is with BRICS, while Iran is a big thing in BRICS, BRICS involves a lot of other countries. BRICS involves so many other countries that if Iran wants to make a stupid fucking decision and Israel wants to retaliate, they might say something. They might make a little bit of a stir, but they won't do enough to the point where it actually caused something big. At least that's how I believe with the way things are situated right now. They're just not in a good position where they can actually bring up a defense for Iran. Iran will most likely, well, if we had strong leadership in America, it wouldn't have happened, but Iran will most likely be slapped down if it really wants to be extended any further.
Now, I agree with you on a lot of fronts on that, because I think you're right that China and Russia are going to try and do everything they can to knock it. And so maybe we may see China or Russia talk to Iran and say, "Hey, you got to relax.
Yes.
You got to relax. Like
Well,
you got your launching
relax,
in."
and the thing is, what Iran relax from the point of doing it from your fucking country. We know you already bring out. You already fund so many. Exactly.
Yeah.
You fund so many proxy terrorist groups. Like, you're so stupid to send it from your country. What are you doing? Like, I feel like there's much more of a chance of that talk happening even after a retaliatory period from Israel, because I think there most likely will be in some manner. If not, if it's like, a quick sting operation on the ground for some type of shit, whatever. But I feel like that's much more of a chance than anything really big popping off. Obviously, there's a chance for something big popping off, but I just don't think it's really going to happen at this point. Did you go to kill the cricket? Are you still here?
Okay, no, I'm still here. I'm curious though, and I think it depends on the level of retaliation from Iran. I mean, from Israel.
Yeah,
because if Israel just says "fuck it," Leroy Jenkins, and just goes balls deep on Iran, Iran's going to have no choice but to fully declare war as a country, which they opened the gate, right? This is now another country opening the gate for an attacker. Before where the Palestinians are regional, they're not a country. They never had one. But that is a regional thing, and they open up the gate for Israel to say, fuck it, you're out of Gaza. We need to take our land back. We gave this to you. You've been assholes since. Now you're done. And this is, earlier yesterday, I think it was early yesterday, there was a terrorist attack carried out in Israel where 8 were killed by, obviously Hamas, Hezbollah sympathizing terrorists. If Israel decides to go full bore like they've done in Gaza, it's going to force Iran to actually open up. And this may be something Israel wants, because Israel, like most other countries, can fight their wars at best when they are actually at war with a country. Because when you declare war on each other, all bets are almost off, right? It's like Ukraine and Russia. They're at war. War sucks, right? If Israel pushes and those boots in Iran, like not covert, boots, then that's where the escalation. I don't think Israel's going to back down. Nate, I agree with you. Israel seems bloodthirsty right now, and it's not even bloodthirsty. They just want to fucking defend themselves. They've been attacked by every single group all around them all along. And I think the only way this de-escalates is, and again, strong leadership, right? We're not going to get this. But if Joe Biden turns around to any of the Abraham Accords people that signed on to that and says, you need to get your region in order. You have signed on to these. You're an ally to Israel. We need you guys to be a deterrent to Iran right now and say, hey, they're at war. Do not get in. Or I don't care if it's economically. If they say, hey, we're going to stop doing X, Y, and Z with you. America giving them that assurances might make them bold. I feel like that's the only way we de-escalate right now, because Israel is going. I don't see them holding back, and if they don't hold back, that's where I see it would kind of be like where the Western powers didn't want to go to war with Germany. They did not want to do it. Didn't want to do everything they couldn't, and then finally that red line was crossed with Poland, and it's like we got it now, and that's how it starts. And I think we could be seeing that red line crossing again.
Yeah, it could be a very volatile situation. It already is a very volatile situation, especially depending on how much Israel fires back and depending on what happens after that.
Yes.
Because there's going to be so much going on in the background, even if Israel does a big kind of thing, where while Iran might want to declare war, it might not be in the necessary position to declare war other than just play defense. So there's just so much shit that could possibly happen where we just have to wait and see, honestly, because we do not have the leadership that's going to be able to do anything that's going to actually stop it. The only ones that could really stop it right now, unless Biden actually becomes alive and actually grows a sack, is Russia or China telling Iran to fuck off. Like, stop it. We don't need to do this right now.
And what we also need to
real quick, Iran kind of wants to do this before Trump gets into office, because this is their only time they'll be able to do something like this.
And we also now need to look out for a major terrorist attack here, because the Biden administration, yes, they've been talking out of both sides of their mouth, but one thing Biden has been staunch on as a senator, as a vice president, he has never not supported Israel. He has always had unwavering support. Now he's been calling for ceasefires, but he's also willing to give them money and saying, they need to defend themselves. So it's been that way for a while. So I do think that the Iranians are probably planning something big for America too, because they couple us both together. Israel and America are hand in hand to these individuals. So I would look out for a major terrorist attack here. And if that happens, what does America do? What is, and the thing is, it's like that's going to push Biden and Kamala into a corner if something major happens here. And Iran fully takes credit for it and is like, hey, we did that because you motherfuckers keep supporting Israel. I think that we can see something very volatile from that as well. It's going to be tough. It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to escalate further to a breaking point before it boils down, or it could just go over and break. It could be one or the other. So we'll keep monitoring that situation. If we see anything story-wise coming after that, we'll talk about that. But Dave, I only want to touch on a few more things, and then we can get the fuck out of here. Okay?
Well, real quick.
Go
I
for
have
it.
a couple of things that I want to pull up.
Oh boy, pull them up. Is it more debate
So
stuff?
first, yes. So first, MSNBC accuses JD Vance of mansplaining in debate. 31 seconds.
Wait. How does he what?
I haven't watched this, but
He mansplains to another man.
I haven't watched this, but I wanted to watch it, so I'm bringing it up.
Muting powers. And I actually think if you're a woman, that might be the worst moment JD Vance had, because he was going to mansplain right over that mute button. He was, and again, I don't pretend to know how everyone will react to this. I think that a lot of women in positions of authority that should command respect just by virtue of that dynamic will see themselves in some dude that disrespected them and talked over. I mean, there was a moment like that with then vice presidential in the Harris Pence debate where she's like,
wow.
So we have that, which is hilarious. And then we also have this right here.
They're trying so hard to find
the Blaze. MSNBC in full meltdown mode has a quote that comes from this, and it sounds hilarious.
Well, it's not on, Dave. Dave, it's not on. Dave, you're the only one hearing it.
Fuck. My bad. I thought I brought it up.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's the audacity. I agree with you that we're in year 9 and no one knows how to cover the audacity. The audacity is that someone should have said, "Stop it! Stop! Are you effing kidding me?" And they should have dropped that F-bomb, right? I mean, they should have just. This is a debate. This may be the only chance people have to see the difference. It's.
Wow.
I love that. I needed to show that.
I mean, it's bad, man.
Yeah, no, they're not doing well. They are not doing well. This debate has been a complete win for Vance, complete win for the Republican ticket.
Yeah.
All right, what do you want to add?
Oh my God, fucking Chris Cuomo trying to now become a Republican. I hate that guy. Okay, let's keep it moving because I want to get to our last few topics and then I want to get the fuck out of here because it is late. It's almost midnight over here, and I think people want to go to sleep at some point. Even though a lot of vampires on the things that we're here on X on X, YouTube, and Facebook. Anybody watching on any of those, we appreciate you all. Give us a repost, retweet, follow on all platforms and on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. All right. So I want to talk about a few notable passings. Yesterday, Pete Rose, one of the all-time great hitters, all-time great baseball players, passed away at 83. And Dikembe Mutombo passed away at 58, one of the all-time great centers and great players. So, let me bring up some things here, just, ESPN's reporting. Now, there was something that apparently went around, right there. I don't know the cause of death. I don't know if it came out yet. I know the family was asking for just respect, but hey, what's going on there, Big D? But yeah, no.
He was 83.
He was 83.
So.
It's tough.
Kind of difficult to stay alive once you get up in those ages.
Yeah, you're right, Chris Christopherson.
Yes, Chris Christopherson. Thank you.
Yep. So he was 83. He was getting up there. The one thing that bothers me though, Dave, is he's not in the fucking hall, and they're going to put him in the hall.
Yep. Now they're going
to. And if I'm Pete Rose's family, I'm saying no. You fucking pieces of shit. Wouldn't do it while he was alive. You made this man suffer And I get it. He bet and he lied about betting. That is against the rules. But let's be clear about what he bet on. He bet on his teams to win as a manager and as a player.
And you can't sit there now with every single sports show being sponsored by gambling sites and act like Pete Rose did something wrong. Exactly. So at this point, you're just being hard-headed about this shit.
And here's the thing too. All the baseball writers of America that wouldn't vote him in can all go fuck off. All of you. Every single one of you that didn't want to get this overturned. You're shitty people. We've known you're shitty people because you have this stupid fucking rule about either making absolute Hall of Famers wait for their second ballot because they didn't earn it, or people that are bona fide Hall of Famers not getting unanimous. Yes. I mean, Mo's the only unanimous one. I think I don't know if Derek Jeter got unanimous.
No, he won. One vote, I think, was not
one person that should lose their ability to fucking vote. There are so many guys that should be unanimous, but they have these fucking stupid unwritten rules. And the baseball writers of America and the people that vote
396 of 397 ballots.
The most pompous assholes you can meet. Maybe more pompous than Washington politicians are baseball writers that have the ability to vote for the Hall of Fame. They suck. They should be stripped of the ability, every single one of them. It should not be up to a bunch of one-sided, you slighted me on interview fucking reporters to have the ability to put great players in the Hall of Fame. Because you know what? Before, when they had more knowledge than all the fans did because they had insider information, they knew about things more, fine. We're all in that locker room too, man. We are all in that locker room with everyone else because the reporters come right to the locker room. We are seeing players give us real-time reactions on X and Instagram and TikTok. We are just as knowledgeable about what's going on because you want to know something? There are plenty of insiders that aren't journalists that have sources that are giving us information before some of these fucking journalists that have these voting credentials, okay? So they need to be done because right now it's a travesty Pete Rose isn't in. Every other part of his game is in. His bat that he broke the records in, his glove. He has a bunch of his memorabilia in, but he's not it. And if I'm the Rose family, I'm saying, nope, don't put him in and give us back his stuff. Give us back his shit. We will start our own fucking Pete Rose Hall of Fame on its own, just a Pete Rose one, and we'll start inducting great players that we think belong there.
I will say though, him not being in the Hall did make for that pretty funny commercial. I think
great commercial. And the thing is, he was a good sport.
Yeah, he was a very good sport about it.
He was angry and bitter for a long time
because he should be
over it.
Because he should be angry and bitter about it.
And it's like, again, my take on it. Listen, should he have been slapped on the wrist? Should they have been like, hey, you're not getting in 10 years past your eligibility because you did gamble. You broke our rule. That is our cardinal rule. Yes. You're eligible. What is it? 4 or 5 years after you're done playing. You're not getting in for a minimum 10 after that. Then after that, we'll give you serious consideration. You'll get on the list because he wasn't even allowed to be on the voter cards. He wasn't allowed to be voted in at all. But not even like he had the opportunity. Like the fucking steroid users are on every single Hall of Fame ballot. Every single Hall of Fame ballot. The steroid users taking steroids isn't just as bad as gambling.
That right there, baby.
He is
a much more important Hall. Yes, sir.
And that's where the contradictions are. You have assholes.
Also, Donald Trump is in the world.
Donald Trump is in the WWE. You have these asshole writers that'll vote for Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire and all those, and people I think should be in. Because at that generation, they were all using steroids. So it wasn't even more even playing field. But you wouldn't even put them on the ballot. Now they're going to do it. And now they're going to all fucking pat themselves on the back. And they're all going to sit there and give great fucking speeches when they present this bust. And they're going to make it seem like they always like them. They can all go fuck off. Like I said, if I'm the Rose family, I'm saying no. And I'm saying give me back the rest of the stuff too. That doesn't belong to you.
Or if you accept it, you absolutely fucking torch them in the speech.
Torch them in the speech. You do. Or you torch them and you fucking at that speech, you should just start it off listing off all the names of the baseball writers over the past 25, 30 years that have held them out. And just be like, and just talk about the ones that are still there and ask them why now? Why now and why not before? And just, I wouldn't even do a speech. I would say their names. I would say, these are the, and say, these are the ones that are still voting as you say them. And then afterwards, after you get done with that list, say, Why now? Why not when he was alive? And then just walk off the fucking stage. Make it the spectacle it is, because they're pieces of shit. And I know a bunch of old heads are going to be watching this going, he broke the rule. He bet. He bet on himself to win. If anything, it's going to make him play harder. And as a manager, he bet on his teams to win. If anything, it's going to make them manage harder. Is it wrong that he bet? Yes. Did he deserve a lifetime ban? No. Absolutely not. So that's my thing about Pete Rose. And it seems like you agree with me, Dave.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to say goodbye to Pete Rose. Thank you for everything, Pete. I never got to watch you play. I watched highlights though. And just the way he played, the reckless abandonment was just fucking awesome. All right. So you're going to bring this up? Go ahead, bring it up, Dave. What do you got here? And there's, former guest Dave Landau. And this is
Tim Walz being
friends with school shooters, babe.
Random black kid. Feel bad for him being in this photo, but it's Walz being friends.
You know what, though? I will say Dave and Quarter Black, you guys couldn't find a third school shooter. You couldn't find another one to put.
I don't know. I don't. This wasn't. Oh, why am I forgetting the name right now? Normal
World. This
wasn't. It was Landau's covering the VP.
Oh, okay. Was it Normal World? Okay. No. Well, maybe that's. Oh, actually, I understand it though, because if Quarter Black was there, they had to keep the picture Quarter Black.
That is true. It is true. Actually.
So there you go. We got our Quarter Black. Okay. Now we're gonna get back after Dave's just looking up debate memes, and I'm okay with that. But like I said, also Dikembe Mutombo passed away same day.
Yes.
Another absolute tragedy. The tragedy is brain cancer and 58 years old.
Yep.
Way too young. We're both Nets fans. We remember watching Dikembe Mutombo on that second championship, potential championship run, when they were the Eastern Conference champions and they lost. And Dikembe gave us a much better chance against Shaq. Shaq is Shaq. He's so fucking good. It's hard to beat. But Dikembe Mutombo was a legitimate stud. Defensive player of the year, plenty of years, blocks leader, and also another guy that
seemed like a good guy, honestly.
Great sense of humor. It seemed.
Yeah.
He did his little no when he blocked people and was on SportsCenter commercials, and people were always suspecting if he was actually the voice of Cookie Monster. Like there's a lot that, and Dikembe Mutombo, again, seemed like a great guy, was a philanthropist, spoke out about things, very involved in the sport still and things like that. And as far as I know, a mentor to a lot of young players and a guy that's going to be missed in the sports world. Cause like you said, Dave, he seemed like a good guy every moment. He always had a smile on his face.
Yep.
And 58 years old, it kind of makes you mean, like, I'm 35. I'm only 23 years away from that. It's 23 years is a lot shorter now when you're 35 than when you were younger. So it's like you battle with your mortality. Like you said, Pete Rose was 83. He lived a good life, right?
Yeah, he had a full life. Once you get up there, you have a full life.
Yeah,
like it's not necessarily a surprise when someone dies. It's obviously still sad, but it's not necessarily a surprise.
Yeah. So but Dikembe Mutombo, 58 years old, yes. Someone who we clearly remember watching play on, obviously a legend on the Hawks and things like that. Like, it's sad. It's sad, and rest in peace to his family. I just, I can't wait to watch the highlight films that people are going to throw together at Dikembe. Just being a monster and throwing it back with blocks and, actually developing a really good post game middle of his career and becoming a legitimate double threat every single game and a superstar, an absolute superstar in the NBA. So, rest in peace to Dikembe. That's I don't have any rants about Dikembe because Dikembe is, I think, in the Hall. Is he in the Hall of Fame yet?
I mean,
let's look. Is Dikembe? If he's not, I'm not going to put that on them. They're not holding him out for any reason. But he should be in the fucking Hall of Fame.
Yes, he is. Yes.
When did he get in? Can you
2015.
Okay, so yeah, so obviously, so very well deserved Hall of Famer. So yeah, guy's a legend. So rest in peace to Dikembe. Brain cancer sucks. Cancer comes after everyone. So it's fucking terrible. But yeah, that's that. And Dave, the last thing I want to talk about before we get out of here is the rumors swirling around about our New York Football Jets, and not just the Jets, but other teams as well.
A bunch of other teams, yeah.
Bunch of other teams, but it seems like two have been narrowed down. It seems like it's the Jets and the Redskins. And yeah, I refuse to say the other name. The other name is fake. It's a terrible name. If they get a real name, if the commies get a real name, I will switch to, and I'll happily call it. But that's not the real name. Anyway, So breaking news earlier today, Davante Adams has informed the Raiders he prefers to be traded. Now, this isn't a demand to be traded. Davante Adams obviously seems like a professional, if I'm not going to lie. He seems like an absolute consummate professional, very much in the cut from the cloth of the Tim Brown, Jerry Rice, Calvin Johnson, Andre Johnson, stoic, does his job, be a professional, be great at what he does type of player. Doesn't really give many problems. You haven't heard him be a diva receiver, even though he fucking could be. The guy's incredibly talented. And Cricket's back, you bastard. But kind of surprising that it's happening now. Not gonna lie. What do you think, Dave?
It's not entirely surprising. I think he probably wanted it in the offseason.
Yeah.
But the Raiders didn't want to in the offseason. They weren't receptive to in the offseason. He probably realized that, and he was like, you know what, I'm not going to stir anything. But I think they've become more receptive to it. I think he's seen that as well. So now he's like, okay, if you guys are ready, if you guys want to, then I would prefer that. I think that's what's happened.
And it's been reported that the Raiders are listening. And their ask is a second rounder. And the thing is, this isn't a bad timing because the trade deadline's October 31st. It's the end of the month. And I think Davante doing this is the right way to do it because he's now giving him time to find the trade and not putting him up against it. Because if it would have been the week of, then the Raiders would have scrambled. And I think as the organization, they would have done right by him because he's been a good player. He's been a good worker and things like that. But apparently Antonio Pierce liked a post where it said, I think Adams maybe said that it might be his last snap as a Raider. And Pierce liked the post. And on Wednesdays, they typically have Gardner Minshew and Adams talk on the radio. They canceled those spots.
The Chiefs don't go all in for him. I mean, if they can, especially Rashee Rice getting taken out by Pat Mahomes. I mean, awful. Rashee Rice is good. He should.
The Raiders aren't. I
don't think they'd trade
if they
give them, divisional rival.
If they give him Chris Jones, maybe. Outside of that, they're not going to trade him to the Chiefs and help the Chiefs. Yeah. I think there's still something to be said about not helping division rivals. Minor players fine, but Davante Adams moves the needle so much for them that the Raiders, they ask for a second, they would have to give them their future first, not even this year, because they don't want number 31 or 32. They would have to give them like a talented player plus a first round pick. Like they would have to blow it away for the Raiders to consider that. The two teams that I saw stand out were the Jets, and apparently he did tell the front office his preference is the New York Jets because of his relationship with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And they've talked about it. They've been open. And he went on a show yesterday and he said, would you like to reunite with Aaron Rodgers? And he goes, absolutely. Who wouldn't? And this is a day before this all happened. So I think the Raiders are going to try to go the Jets first. And I think this is one of those situations where when all is said and done, if it's the Jets, if it's the Commanders, it's going to be a situation where both the GM and Davante Adams are saying very similar things that, this wasn't, and there was no animosity. We did what was best. I asked, they said, sure. We worked together. We made sure that, I didn't want to leave them. So I made sure I okayed a deal that was good for both sides. And bada bing, bada boom. Now, interesting. I see people putting on Hassan Reddick as a part of the trade and a second to go get Davante and maybe another piece or like a lower trade to get him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that, even though I want Hassan Reddick to go bankrupt. But if this is the case to get Davante, I'm okay. I know this is 2 days after that ramp, but still, if it's Adams, but
I think it's one of the most obvious ways to do it.
Why would the Raiders take Hassan Reddick? He wants $20 to $30 million a year. Are you ready?
That is a good point. That's a very good point. If they're willing to do that and put Reddick and Crosby on the same defensive line, that's fucking terrifying.
That is.
That is a genuine, just nightmare for offenses.
And with Patty Mahomes being there, you now have these two disruptors that can box him in.
It is something that you might be willing to shell out the money for because if that defensive line is disrupting an offense that much, then you're going to win games. It just gives your offense even more potential to score. So it could be something that you might shell out the money for, but it is a legitimate question of would they want to actually give him that contract?
And in reality, if you're the Jets, you would be taking the losing end because Hassan Reddick has much more value at this point in his career than Davante Adams. And like I said, if you're getting Davante back, you're not going to get a second back with him. You're going to have to be the one to give up the second if you're Joe Douglas. You're maybe going to get a fourth or a fifth coming back, and it might not be this year's. If you want to hire one, it might be next year's. You know what I mean? So you would take a loss in the long run because Hassan Reddick is a good player for the next 4, 5, 6 years.
Yes.
Davante Adams is a good player for the next 2 years.
But the Jets aren't. The Jets aren't necessarily. Yeah, we're in win now mode. We're not we have long run things in our roster, but we're in win now mode. So you can take that hit.
And I think Davante Adams would be a contract that would be coming off the books in 2 years.
I'm not sure.
I'm looking at it right now. So Davante Adams, which one do I trust? There's one website that's good. Sports.
Either way,
here we go.
Joe Douglas, we know he's stingy. So he's probably going to try to make this as good as possible for the Jets while getting Adams. Yeah. But I do think the Redskins are really interesting, especially at the way Jaden Daniels is playing right now. Mm-hmm. It's not like he's lighting up the scoreboard. He's not lighting up the box sheet, but he's playing like he knows how to play football as a quarterback, as a rookie. Like, that's fucking good. Keeping the interceptions down, scoring when you can. Now, he's running a lot. And we have seen a quarterback that started for the Redskins as a rookie run a lot, have a damn good year, but they ran him too much and got him hurt. Now this is a different regime, and Jaden Daniels, you know, you have examples before you that came before you, more than just RG3. So he has the chance to be able to run a lot and not get hurt and still progress and be pretty damn good, because right now he's off to a great start. So going to the Redskins would be fucking great for Davante Adams.
So this is interesting, because the way it's structured, the back end is easily the highest. So his base salary this year was almost 17 mil. 2023 it was 6 mil. 2022 it was 3 mil. It goes up to 35 and over 35 and a half mil for 2025 and the same number for 2026. Your cap hit for both of those years is $44,100,000. That is a massive hit if you're looking to sign Breece Hall, if you're looking to sign Sauce, if you're looking to sign Garrett Wilson, if you're looking to bring back these young, talented guys that will now be on year 3 and will be in their contract year. So it would take some restructuring. Like, if Davante comes, if I'm Joe Douglas, I'm telling Davante Adams, I'm not paying you this much money. We're going to maybe re-put some of this in the signing bonus. We're going to do something. But there's no way I can pay you $72 million over the next 2 years and have a cap hit of almost $90 million just with you alone. We need to move some of this. And you're probably going to have to take some. You're probably going to have to take some less.
Which he might.
That's going to take Aaron Rodgers also convincing him to do it, and maybe Alan Lazard. Because they're all former teammates. He might.
But he very well might, because let's be honest, going to the Raiders, he wasn't going into a Super Bowl position.
No.
So he can want all that money. Going to the Jets with Aaron Rodgers, you're pairing up with a team that should be in a pretty much a roster there, but you're going to a position where you have a chance at that. So he might be willing to do less money.
Yeah. So
also, I agree that he is a superior passer to RG3, at least from what we've seen so far. But I am just comparing to the fact that when you run a lot, there's a possibility of getting injured. And I hope that doesn't happen. But I'm just saying it's always there.
So here's the thing, Nate. Also, he's a superior passer to RG3, but RG3 was a much better athlete. Skinnier, but he's a better athlete than Jaden Daniels. He was faster. Jaden Daniels isn't good, but people need to realize RG3 had Olympic level speed, which is very rare. Huh?
I forgot how fast
he was an Olympic standard of 100-meter hurdler and 400-meter hurdler. So the guy had legitimate speed. We haven't seen a guy that fast since Mike Vick at the quarterback position. Lamar's fast, but he's not Mike Vick, RG3 fast. And I think you could say they have comparable big arms. RG3's arm might be a little bit bigger. RG3 could legitimately throw the ball 80 yards down the field, no problem. Where Jaden is better,
he's just great accuracy though.
He's accurate,
great accuracy,
and he has more than enough arm strength to throw the 15 to 25 yard out on a rope. So Jaden probably is a better future overall, because I think he's an overall better quarterback than RG3 was. I wouldn't say he's a far superior passer because we did see RG3 make some fucking dimes and red zone dimes too during that playoff run. So I think it's closer. I think we kind of hindsight RG3 because he's been out for so long. But that run was
ate a croissant weirdly.
Huh?
And he ate a croissant weirdly.
I mean, but listen, I love RG3. He's my track and field ambassador, so I'm okay. So the other teams express interest and are intrigued by him are the Steelers and Ravens, which could be real interesting because getting Lamar that weapon also could change the whole dynamic of the league. And you would have to put them as your favorites, especially watching the way they fucking just dismantled the Bills. Lamar looked great.
Derrick Henry
looks dominant.
I'm Derrick Henry.
Yeah, and the way that they're using him, and they even have who's the wide receiver? They have a talented wide receiver there now.
Zay Flowers.
And if you had Devontae with Zay, that's huge. And then Mark Andrews coming underneath.
Well,
that might be
more lively now than it is Andrews. Tight end wise. It's more Noah Lively than it is.
It is more Noah Lively, but Andrews is still the guy. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's gonna switch up.
He hasn't. I mean, he'll might get back up to speed. But
I think he might. Well, regardless, now, but then again, you have those two as well. It's Lively and Andrews. So it's like if you had Devontae Adams, you're looking at firepower that is comparable to the best teams that the Chiefs had. Your Kareem Hunt, your Tyreek Hills, grouping with Kelsey. Like, who do you defend? Who do you try to take out? Because then, which the Chiefs didn't have, you have Lamar Jackson, who, for a running quarterback, is one of the safest guys because he's massive. He's not a little running quarterback. Most of our running quarterbacks have been tiny little squirrely fellas. He is not. He is a big dude. He looks like a running back most of the time. So he's far more geared to take some hits if he needs to. He's like the same size as Patrick Mahomes, just real fast in terms of like not height, but like build. So it's interesting. I think we got some interesting stuff. Dave, what do you got?
Poso shared this. Donald Trump apparently put this out on Truth. You should check it. But either way, it's funny. Second time he has said, I've been friends with school shooters. What does he mean by this? Is he insane? Fucking hilarious. And I love that.
And the thing is, like, do you want to give him the benefit of the doubt? You can probably, right?
Yeah.
Because what he's trying to
you should, but it is hilarious.
It's hilarious. He's obviously trying to say, I'm friends with people like families of school shooting victims, right?
Also,
but
another Landau beauty. Leaked pics of what Tim Walz was writing during the debate.
I love Landau. Dave Landau is amazing. Let me see. Dave, keep talking while I look.
Just say, what are you looking at?
Anything. I'm trying to look up Truth Social. See.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said.
Second time he has said. I mean, it's actually
okay. Dude, but he needs to tweet some of those out, some of those zingers, because he doesn't tweet those zingers out a lot. He just tweeted, but he didn't tweet a zinger. He just basically tweeted about the election.
I am fully onto the theory that Trump has a contract with Truth Social right now. Not only is it something he owns, he's probably contractually
to use it more,
to use it more, and put the things that made Twitter popular on Truth first.
I mean, that would make sense. That would mean, or he just wants to do it that way. Either way, but yeah, no, it's debate night's been crazy. Possibility of World War III. A lot's happened recently, and a lot more is going to happen. That's why we'll be most likely doing this daily. So I can't wait.
So Trump just put out 37 minutes ago. Lion Kamala just put out a request for another debate because they lost so badly tonight, which is a really bad sign that they did. Again, it's like a fighter who lost gets up and says, I want a rematch. I beat Biden. I then beat her, and I'm not looking to do it again. Too far down the line. Votes are already cast, and I'm leading in all caps. Big in the polls. I'll make America great again. She's incapable of it. And honestly, can we find that clip, Dave? Can you find the clip of him saying that Biden became mentally impaired? Kamala was born that way. Because it was the delivery, too, that made it amazing. That is, again, Trump is kind of finding his mojo back with a lot of these things. He's been great on the trail. And then to have this, like, what this does for, I think, independents, too, because this is big for independents. J.D. Vance is that steadying force. Where I think independents are going to see that Trump is still Trump. But J.D. Vance is going to sit there and they're going to believe that he's going to be what Pence was supposed to be. but he's actually able to do it because he agrees with a lot of the same things, and he's just going to be able to make Trump do it in a much more acceptable way. You got something there, Dave?
Found it. I want to make sure I was listening to it before.
Why aren't the after shows talking about the fact that Walz said, I'm friends with school shooters? He said that an hour ago. It's true.
Joe Biden became mentally impaired, sad. But Lion Kamala Harris, honestly, I believe she was born that way. There's something wrong with Kamala. And I just don't know what it is, but there is definitely something missing. And you know what? Everybody knows it.
Holy shit.
Honestly, you want to know what's my favorite part about that? It looks like he might have been looking at a prompter, and the fact that the prompter said that might be my favorite thing about the whole thing.
The prompter said that. That's incredible.
Because it looks like he was looking away. It looks like he might have been doing a prompter there.
Yeah.
And it's not surprising at rallies he might have some like notes or something on the prompter or things like that. But if the prompter said that, that's amazing. I think she was born that way. There's something seriously wrong with her. Oh man. But so we had other things on the sheet. I don't think we'll
get to some of that tomorrow.
I think we're gonna get to it tomorrow. It's late already. It's past midnight here in the East Coast. Yeah, we got some fun stuff tomorrow. We'll get some more stories, but we'll talk about San Jose State has a dude on their women's team. We'll talk about Zelensky being a fucking bitch and constantly asking for money and getting it. The really important strike at the U.S. ports right now. And Biden playing politics, migrants with criminal records being in America. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to go over, but we'll go over it tomorrow because it's late. The debate was fantastic. We took up most of the show with the debate, but yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. So tomorrow's going to be, today, it's going to be a schedule similar to this. We have our main show going on. We're going to do our main shows for those of you that like our more interview style, we'll have a guest on, we'll do it. And then after that, we'll kind of blip out of that. And a few minutes later, we'll come back and we'll do this. So we may have our guest on. We might not. With that, we'll see. We're going to gauge. We'll probably give the guest the option to come back and hang out again if they want to, and just kind of shoot the shit. But we'll see. If they want to, they will. If not, and they're done with us, I wouldn't blame them. I'm fucking done with us most nights anyway. So anyway, we appreciate everyone for watching. Wherever you're watching, once again, on YouTube, click the subscribe button, leave us a comment. We appreciate all that. It's the biggest way that we can grow there. On X, give us a repost and follow us there. And Facebook, same thing. Follow us and spread this word of mouth. We'll be back every night, as many nights as we can. We might take a night off here and there if we both need a recharge, but we'll be try and do this 7 days a week for the most part, until you guys make us famous, and then we'll do everyone else and tell you to fuck off for 2 days of the week, and we'll take the weekends off. I'm just being honest. I am just being honest. Eventually we will get to a point where we'll be like, we're big enough. Thanks, guys. We're gonna hang out for 2 days.
I'll be here.
No, you won't. You're barely here now. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. We will talk.